prejudice to national interest.
Birth registration in Nigeria is a critical aspect of public health and governance, aimed at ensuring every child has legal identity and access to essential services. Despite its importance, the country faces significant challenges in achieving comprehensive birth registration. According to a report, only about 50% of births are officially registered in the country due to lack of awareness, limited access to registration centers, and inadequate infrastructure. The Nigerian government, in collaboration with various international organizations, has implemented initiatives to enhance birth registration coverage, including the use of mobile registration units and community awareness campaigns. However, in a significant move to address the issue of unregistered births in Nigeria, First Lady of Nigeria, Ms. Tinubu, has launched a new initiative aimed at upscaling birth registration across the country, saying the need for a robust birth registration system has never been more urgent than now. Focusing on increasing awareness and accessibility of birth registration services, especially in underserved communities. The First Lady also believes that every child has the right to an identity, and this initiative is a step towards ensuring that no child is left behind. The initiative therefore aims at creating a more inclusive society where every child in Nigeria is recognized and empowered, as families are encouraged to take advantage of these services to ensure their children have a brighter future. On this episode of the program, we shall be looking at upscaling birth registration in Nigeria. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I am Eucharia Clinton, and thanks for joining us. Now, joining us for the discussion is Ibrahim Sesay. He is the Chief of Protection, UNICEF. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me.
Also with us in the studio is the National Population Commissioner, Honorable Nasiru Isa Kwara. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much. National Population Commission Chair. Thank you.
National Population
Chairman.
Commission Chairman.
Chairman.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Now we'll start with you, Honorable Nasiru Isa. Now there was, of course, a program today that the First Lady, hosted under the Renewed Hope Initiative of scaling birth registration in Nigeria. So tell us what it's all about and what the objectives are.
Thank you very much. The First Lady took the bold initiative to actually champion this upscaling of birth registration under the Renewed Hope initiative. And the discussion started when it was brought to our attention that the birth registration coverage has not achieved the level we want to achieve. And all the efforts we've made in digitalizing the entire process is beginning to yield result, and we need the leadership at the top to be able to get this driven to the point we want to achieve. And under the platform of Renewed Hope Initiative, we did the launch today, and it was a great outing. The whole idea is actually to sensitize, to partner, and to leverage on the technology we have to really drive this birth registration exercise.
Thank you very much. Now, to you, Sesay, talk to us about why birth registration is critical to development.
Thank you so much. That is a very important question, more especially when you look in terms of the role of birth registration as part of civil registration system in Nigeria. If you don't know your people, you can't plan for them. And the fundamental approach with regards to knowing numbers within any country is starting from birth registration. There are even certain countries nowadays, they even don't conduct census, but they really rely upon a civil registration population, more especially starting from birth. So the significance is huge. Number one is the fundamental right for every child. So that the right to a name, the right to a nationality as a true Nigerian starts from the registration of births of children. If the faces of children are not seen, it means their births are not registered, so they cannot really access services. So the contribution which children will make in the future really starts from the cradle, whereby their births are registered, and they will be able to access important basic services, such as immunization, access to education, and then looking in terms of the demographics, where should we really locate schools when it really comes in terms of those numbers. And Nigeria, of course, when you look in terms of the population dividend, it's very, very critical and important, because each year you're talking about 8 million children that are being born in Nigeria. So if you don't really know where they are and what best to be done in terms of providing them those basic services, then basically we are missing out when it comes in terms of the development dividend, which of course could be that could be a huge contribution to be made by this particular population in the future.
Back to you, then, Honorable Nasiru Isa. Now, you're talking about upscaling birth registration in Nigeria. Now, tell us, what is the current state of birth registration in Nigeria? For us to say upscaling, which means it's somewhere already, so we don't upscale it. So, what point are we right now?
Okay. At the moment, the registration is about 60%. Certification is far less. It's one thing to register a child, and it's another to provide the certificate for him to really have that as a record of as a document to show indigenship, to show citizenship of the country. So it all started because we had a manual system of registration. I know how arduous it is, how backward that is, coupled with the fact that we cannot reach the rural areas to be able to register our children that are given birth to in those areas. We really have offices in every state, every local government, and we don't have enough to cover every ward, but we have enough to take care of like 2 or 3 wards, or even 5 wards per local government. So the whole thing was quite slow, inaccurate. So we now took on the process of digitizing the entire process. When I came on board, we started this. We looked for domestic technical or IT solution providers, we sampled them, went through processes of selection, and eventually we settled for one that's called Banksword Technologies Limited. So they have now developed a platform. You can run various models. There is the birth registration, there is death registration, there is also, the death could be live or stillbirth. There are those that do not have certificates at birth. They are now adults, so we have to bring them on board to register them. Mr. President launched this digital platform together with your special infrastructure on the 8th of November last year. With this, we now have a good platform, a digital platform to upscale the registration. We've gone through the process of testing, trials here and there, updating. Now we are ready to hit the ground running and provide this registration service to every child in Nigeria. We are hoping that by the end of 2027, once the president, his tenure will be closing, we should be able to close up to 70–80% of children being registered. And by the year 2030, we should be able to achieve our SDG goals by having 100% of
by 2030.
2030.
I was about asking you what's the target. You just answered it. No, he talked about the issue you raised is very, very germane to this discussion, talking about the people at the rural areas. He mentioned some of the challenges. You know, it was manual, now a lot of things have been done. So talk to us more. What more do you think should be done to ensure that everybody is included in the birth registration? Because as much as we say, okay, we're trying to upskill, of course, we are doing certain things to ensure that everybody is coming. There are still some persons that are not being included. How do we, ensure that this upskilling is very, very effective?
Thank you once again. Scaling up requires a whole of society and a whole of community approach. We really need the required partnerships that will really bring all key stakeholders into one domain by saying, enough is enough, we leave no child behind, and every child has to be registered at birth. One key component, it is not just in terms of creating the demand, but also making sure the supply component is there. Because people will be waiting for registrations to occur, but what is the cost? Now, one key factor in terms of this initiative is to make sure services reach the doorsteps of every community, of every household. So basically, it's on a zero-cost level. Because when you look at the economic trends, the manner in which things are, and then people really have to move from one locality to the other in terms of doing the registration, that would be a hindrance. But what is now happening is we make sure the services are provided where you are. The second, which is quite important, is to mobilize communities, is to mobilize the family, because that's where decisions are made. So influencers, that's what we use in the platform with reference to the Renewed Hope Initiative. The political commitment has already been made, but then how do we actualize it? So this will require us having traditional rulers, like today. We have 5 or 6 in terms of class A traditional rulers, making a commitment. We have the other ones, local government. You look in terms of decentralization with regards to service provision, they are the epitome of it. So they are all now on board. Social media will bring in them. And that's why we're even on television, to make sure we galvanize every facet of society to really push this. But it doesn't stop there. You could register a child, but the certificate too has to be issued. So the entire process will be decentralized, rather than having fixed points, just at federal and at state level. But then how can we go to the LGA, so that the time it will take after registration, you'll be able to issue a birth certificate. And the beauty of this game, when you really look in terms of the manner in which things are, the national identification number will also be issued during birth. So which will be a big incentive, so that all of this culminating will be able to really help us to say, yes, there is a need for birth registration. Because if you want to really get into school, you need a national identification number, and then of course with your birth certificate. Usually people don't take this to be a very serious issue, because even if you look at the law is even saying it is compulsory. And there are various measures in terms of if you don't even register, you could even be fined. But this, you cannot impose on those issues, more especially when you know that the supply component in terms of having the level of infrastructure to do this. But for now, that infrastructure is in, and that is the digitalization. If you look at 2022 compared to 2023, with the introduction of technology, we went from around 7 million to 11 million. That was, leap bound in terms of the manner in which things are.
You just have to hold it there. So we'll return for you to complete actually what you started there. Now, we'll take a short break now and listen to the views of some Nigerians on what people know, what they know about birth registration. Let's put together by Suleiman Abdul-Wahab. Don't go away.
What I understand by child registration is registering a child that has been given birth, especially in the hospital. But if the boy has been given birth in the local area, such registration may not take place.
Like today now, when I was in the office, I watched a section where the first lady was talking about this childbirth and all of that, that you have to always take due procedures in your childbirth.
When you give birth to children in the hospital, there are a lot of sickness that could be identified during that childhood. That you as a mother giving birth at home may not know.
Complications. It's easier managed in the hospital. We shouldn't wait for the point where the issue gets complicated before rushing down to the hospital, at least to reduce maternal mortality.
Because there was a mother I met that was last week in the hospital, so she gave birth to triplets, and she had the triplet at home. So we're not like, okay, how do you give birth? Is it you give birth in the house, have you give birth in the hospital? So the mother was telling me that she gave birth in the house. I was like, how? And everything. Who cut the cord and everything? She said she did it herself and everything. So she had low PCV. She bled. So she was brought to the hospital and she was transfused.
Hospital, there was a woman, she was pregnant, and she came for antenatal. So it's as if she's having complication. So they now told her that they are going to do CS for you. So she started crying in the public. So I now called Madam, what's the issue? She said this is the issue. I said, okay, there's nothing that God cannot control. You see, as you are here, this is the perfect place.
Welcome back. In case you are just joining us, this is Nigeria Today, and we're looking at scaling birth registration in Nigeria. And of course, I have two gentlemen here in the studio with me. Now, Honorable Nasiri Isakwara, you had quite a lot of people and some of the experiences they had. Now, I want you to, add your voice to some of the issues that was raised there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, we have birth taking place in hospital facilities. We also have birth taking place at home. In fact, some places not even at home, as one is traveling or even in the farm or somewhere. It happens, and we register birth even if the childbearing didn't take place in the hospital facility. We have developed a community structure that we're also working to improve upon.
So how do you reach these persons that maybe had their babies at home and they probably did not come to the hospital?
That is the community structure I'm talking about. Okay. You have the traditional rulers, religious leaders, they form a community structure whereby everybody that takes place, they record and inform the staff of National Population Commission who register that birth. There are those that also give birth at home, but they have to go for immunization. And in the process of when they get to immunize their children, they also be registered there. We have our staff in the various hospitals, from local government to state and here at the tertiary institutions. So every birth is supposed to be registered, and we want to encourage Nigerian all our mothers, make sure your children are registered. That's when they will be seen, and they'll have access to, services, government services, health, education, as well as legal protection. The community structure is something we're developing with our traditional rulers and community.
I want you also to stress what they stand to lose if they don't register their children.
They will lose one. They will not be seen. They will not be part of the like the population, the citizens, to enjoy the service. When they are not registered, they are just like, they are not part of the society to enjoy the services. So they need to actually be registered and certificated, so that when it comes to enrollment, you should be able to have your certificate to present as a Nigerian child to be enrolled in school. If you want to for immunization, you also have that. So many other services, right from primary school, secondary school, university. There are things that you always present as a proof of a citizen of that country. If a child, a Nigerian child, is giving birth to outside the country, yes, they can have a certificate of that country, but when they come to Nigeria, they notify the National Population Commission, we have so child was born here and there, but we capture them in our system too. So it is a very, very important thing for every parent to register the child. And our staff are everywhere, every local government, every ward to be there to register. But this digitization process has now made it possible for us to go out with our PDAs, reach families, and register them. And thanks to UNICEF, there are interventions. They come in and support us with mass registration of children. We go to the field from house to house and register children. By so doing, we have achieved the level of coverage that we have. And going forward with this facility, I think we will be able to reach the target of 100% coverage by 2030.
Okay, now, Ryan, now talking from the UNICEF point of view, how far have we gone in terms of talking about Nigeria? And also tell us what lessons can be learned from other countries that have successfully increased their birth registration rates.
First and foremost, when you look in terms of the convergence of services, we have seen that if you combine the immunization of children, whether be they at the house or whether be they at the clinics, but if you combine the services, the rate of registration will really spike. And this is what we found out even when we did a sort of an operational research to see whether birth registration will disrupt immunization. We came to the conclusion that if a child is registered and then a certificate is issued, even the immunization rates go up. So it's a win-win situation here. And in most countries, we found out that you don't wait just for National Population Commission to come and then do the registration. It could also be done by a health worker who will have an interface with the child, and then that registration could also take place. And those are some of the things we are currently doing. So there is a cooperation agreement between Ministry of Health and Social Welfare and National Population Commission and National Identity Management Commission to make sure that all these three services, the issuance of NIN, the access to primary healthcare services, and the registration of births, all converge at one point, and that could be done by one individual. We do understand that there are limited resources, but then how can we really maximize those? The third element, which I will also talk about, as I've mentioned, is reaching the population to know the significance of birth registration. Because that will be a compelling factor on the part of the mother, on the part of the father, and even that of the family to say, yes, this is an added number to our community. But then how can we really recognize that child? Is to do the registration of birth and having what? Your birth certificate.
Thank you very much. With that, we draw the curtain of this episode of Nigeria Today. Very big thank you to the National Population Commission Chairman, Honorable Nasiru Isa Kwara. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. And we also had the Chief of Protection, UNICEF, Ibrahim Sissay. Thank you so much.
And
thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on Nta News24. You can also watch a repeat at 10 p.m. tonight, and also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/Nta News24 Hub. Once again, thank you for watching. I am Carrier Clinton. Goodbye.
Advertise.